What is up, TFA fam? Hope your weeks are going well. Hope you're enjoying this really tight, closely contested game that we have going on. Right now on Sunday night. This is how we all saw it go, right, Kev?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Antonio Brown's debut and everything, and thought it was gonna be a real close game, and it seems like I was right.
Yeah, I had a 3-team teaser all lined up. So tonight I had the Bucks at like plus 1.5. I think is what that ended up being teased up to. I was like, oh, nice, plus 1.5. Like I feel pretty good about that. I think they're going to win outright, so it's nice to get that little cushion. Nope.
Yeah. 2020 is a fickle bitch.
Yes, she is. And with that, let's go ahead and take a first look at the waivers. If you're listening on podcast form, just so you guys know, we go live on YouTube every night, every Sunday night to give you guys this first glance. We'll obviously update things as we need to. The YouTube chat is popping off already. We got Daniel and Abraham in the building, so we appreciate you guys jumping in. Please be sure to hit that subscribe, rate, review, however you are consuming all this information. So, Kev, why don't you start us off? Talk to us about the quarterback streamers that you were looking for in Week 10.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward for me. I mean, half these guys didn't even play this week, but I think Jared Goff is, even as bad as he's kind of looked, I think this is still a great matchup against Seattle. Seattle's secondary and overall their defense has been horrific. They got the doors blown off them today by Buffalo. I guess they did make it close there for a little while, but regardless, I do think this is a really good matchup for the Rams. So Jared Goff only rostered 59% of leagues. Carson Wentz, I do think this is a good matchup for him as well. This should be the first week where really they have all their weapons, right? Miles Sanders is back. They've already said that he expects to start practicing on Wednesday with them. They'll have Jalen Reagor back. Again, obviously, Dallas Goedert. I mean, they're going to have all their weapons back, so I think this is a good matchup for him. So I really like Carson Wentz. And then Drew Lock. I mean, Drew Lock balled today. Completed 25 48 passes, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also had a rushing touchdown. It was good to see also – he set career highs in passing yards, but that likely had more to do with the fact that he set a career high in pass attempts. But he also averaged 6.5 yards per attempt, which was good to see. So, Drew Lock, he was somebody that I was kind of high on last week that I mentioned that you should be, looking to add, especially against Atlanta. Now, this is another good matchup against the Raiders, only rostered 20% of leagues. So I do like him. Baker Mayfield, he is on the COVID IR, but it sounds like his tests so far have come back negative. So that's not a huge concern. Against Houston, really good matchup. Houston's defense is terrible. The only thing that would concern me here is that we know that Cleveland really wants to run the football. Thank goodness. Thank you, almighty. Nick Chubb is back. Nick Chubb is returning in Week 10. We're getting all of our running backs, boys. We're getting them all back, finally. So Miles Sanders will be back. Nick Chubb will be back this upcoming week. So that is good to see. But if Houston can push the Browns, then I think that you could look for them to air it out a little bit. So I like Baker Mayfield a little bit, and the rest of these guys. He played really well today. I mean, really good bounce back performance. Completed 20 passes, 20 of 28 for 248, 2 touchdowns. He also rushed 7 times for 35 yards. So those are all positive things. See, much better game today against the Cardinals. And they get the Chargers this week when the Chargers, they've really started to struggle, especially on the defensive side of the football. So you can throw the ball against the Chargers. So I like Tua a little bit here, rostering 24% of leagues. Now the other two, Nick Mullins, this is mainly, if they can get their guys back, like Brandon Ayuk, who should be back. And, maybe if Deebo Samuel could be back. If he's not, I would probably cross him off this list because he looked terrible last Thursday night. And then Daniel Jones, really scary to ever think about playing him because at the time how often he turns the ball over. But Philadelphia secondary is not very good. So, again, in a game that, could be a little bit more high scoring, roster in 30% of leagues. That's kind of where I rounded out.
Kev, what are your thoughts on Alex Smith? Obviously, he came in relief of Kyle Allen, who I didn't see the injury, but I saw the update. And it was like his ankle was facing the opposite.
Yeah, it was another dislocated ankle and a fracture. So it just keeps happening. Hate to see it. Obviously, Alex Smith just recovered from this, but I don't know. I don't love Alex Smith either because like the limited times we saw him, like he hasn't looked very good. I mean, it's a really good story, but he's not the same guy as he used to be. He used to be much more mobile, kind of get out of the pocket, and as we know, he's the ultimate game manager. But yeah, I mean, I don't love it.
All right, just wanted to, especially for those that are in deeper leagues, 2 quarterback kind of leagues. I mean, he did put up 325 yards. It was against the Giants, but they are going to get the Lions. So I mean, I think I might rather go Alex Smith over like Daniel Jones. I don't know. Maybe I'm just chasing his performance against the Giants, but like you said, Daniel Jones just scares the hell out of me.
Always.
But anyway, let's jump over to wide receiver. Take a look at what we have going on there. I didn't think that there were too many. Obviously, I have got mine kind of split up into tiers, so you can kind of vary your fab budgets based on this. But obviously, I only have 2 names in tier 1, and that is Jalen Reagor and Curtis Samuel. Kev, you were talking about Carson Wentz already, so I'm not going to dive too far into that. But Reagor is still widely available in ESPN and Yahoo leagues. Obviously, he didn't have a great performance in his first week back last week, but he did get the touchdown. It showed that like that was clearly schemed for him as well. So hopefully, with coming back, having the week off, they're able to kind of get things back together. Fulgham is still going to get his. We talked about that last week as well. But I like Reagor a lot. Curtis Samuel, I'm throwing up here as well in tier 1. I'm like stuttering now because I'm realizing I just put Curtis Samuel in tier 1 of of my wide receiver ads. But if you look at what he's done over the past 3 weeks, it's encouraging, right? It's not a great matchup going up against Tampa, or at least we don't think, but they are getting shredded right now by Drew Brees and his half of an arm. His production and his involvement has been up over the past 3 weeks. He's had 6, 5, and 9 targets. He's had a couple of carries each week as well. He was still involved on the ground today as well, and he's had at least 17 fantasy points in each of those games over that stretch. So I think he's someone with, we're going to be expecting them to be playing from behind with Tampa. So I think he's somebody you could look at if you need to. Tier 2, Allen Lazard, Tim Patrick, Nelson Aguilar, Darnell Mooney, Anthony Miller. Lazard, I think, needs to be picked up. Obviously, Valdez-Scantling, finally showed up after basically being non-existent in Allen Lazard's absence over the past couple of weeks. But he only had the 2 catches, and they just both happened to be touchdowns. So I still think Allen Lazard is going to step into a big enough role where if you have the room, I would be stashing him right now. He hasn't actually been – he's returned to practice, but he is still on the IR, so he's somebody I would stash. Tim Patrick in his first game back today, obviously the Broncos were trailing the majority of that game, but he did see 9 targets. It didn't really show up in the stat sheet too much. He did find the end zone. So he's somebody who I think you could definitely be looking at, especially if we're going to be missing – Noah Fant and Kev, your boy from Mizzou, Albert O. He left with a knee injury. Fant was banged up again. So Tim Patrick is somebody who I like. Nelson Aguilar, I mean, he's getting it done. I'm not going to feel super confident plugging him into my lineups, but he has been getting those deep looks. He has been finding the end zone. So I think you could do worse there. And then to round out tier 2, we have the 2 Chicago receivers with Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller. Now, Anthony Miller's involvement has picked up over the past couple of weeks. So it's been good to see his targets and his production, picking up when it was kind of seeming like Darnell Mooney was 100% the wide receiver 2 for Chicago. It's kind of balanced out over the past couple of weeks. I think if you're looking for someone with a higher upside, I would shoot Mooney. But, man, I really missed a golden opportunity there to say shoot for the Mooney. Damn it. If you need more of a floor play, I think Anthony Miller is somebody you could look at there. Tier 3, and then deep league ads here. Randall Cobb, Danny Amendola, MVS, who I already talked about a little bit, and then the 2 Colts receivers for Pascal and Michael Pittman are going to round out tier 3. Cobb is being put here for the matchup. Danny Amendola, you can look at adding, especially if we get word that Kenny Golladay is going to be out. That did look like it was a week-to-week injury, but Amendola put up, I think it was like 7 catches, 77 yards. So I'd be much more interested in him if Golladay is going to be out. MVS, like I said, I think he's a boomer bust guy. That's why he's down here in tier 3 for me. And then if T.Y. Hilton is going to be out, I'm much more interested in Pascal and Pittman. But Phillip Rivers threw over 40 times today, and neither of these guys saw double-digit targets. So take that for what you will, but there's nobody else to throw to, honestly. So I think Pascal and Pittman in deeper leagues you can look at. And then the last 2 to round things out, KJ Hamler, Chris Conley. Hamler saw, I think, 9 targets today. He obviously brings a different element to that team that they don't have with Judy or Patrick. And again, especially if those tight ends are going to be out, I like them. And then Laviska Shenault did leave today with a hamstring injury. So if you're kind of desperate, 14, 16 team league, something like that, or you have a deeper starting requirement, I think you can look at Chris Conley to pick up. Like I said, nothing that really jumps out to me other than Jalen Reagor. I think it's kind of crazy that he's like sub 20% rostered across both formats. So let's answer a couple of these questions, and then we'll jump over to Kevin. You can talk about running back. Brian Hill wants to know: would you trade Zeke, Tyreek, and Diggs for Chubb, Allen, and Gronk in a full PPR?
That's close, because I mean Zeke has obviously just not been good, but the Hill and Diggs part, like I think Hill and Keenan Allen is a little bit of a wash because of how many targets that Keenan Allen's seeing. But Gronk to Diggs, I mean that's a pretty big drop off, and I probably wouldn't want to mess with that. I probably wouldn't. I don't think that I would.
Yeah. As much as we love Chubb, and Keenan Allen's just been a straight up vacuum, a target vacuum, I think, like you said, that drop off to getting Gronk, he might as well not even be involved in this trade. So I think I would just I think I would hold steady there. Daniel also has a trade question: who gets the better of this trade? I have Hunt, Jacobs, and Drake. Gibson on the bench, and some dude offered me Rodgers for Gibson.
It looks like his quarterback is Matt Ryan. I would say no. I don't think you really need to. It's not that significant of an upgrade. And you obviously Hunt, you can take him out of the mix now because Nick Chubb is out. I mean, he's still going to be involved as like an RB3, right? But then Drake is hurt. So, I mean, right now, who would you be starting? You're starting Kareem Hunt, who's going to drop right back down to being the second fiddle to Nick Chubb. And so then all you would have is Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, who's hurt. And maybe he's back next week. Maybe he's not. That's just way too thin. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it would be different if you didn't have Ryan at quarterback. So I would hold steady there. Another question from Brian: would you go after Chubb if your running backs were Zeke, JT, Sanders, and Edmonds?
I mean, you could, but I think the only way you'd probably make that happen at this point. I mean, you could try. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't offer all that other stuff. Like maybe you try to offer just Zeke for Chubb straight up. Like Chubb hasn't played, and so it's not like he has been out here crushing it, right? So I do think that is something you could try to do. Maybe offer to Zeke for Chubb straight up, because I would rather do that. You could probably throw in Jonathan Taylor too, because Jonathan Taylor is fucking trash. So, as a kicker, I guess. Hey, hey, Walito, I know you're in here. Can you remind me what Jonathan Taylor ended up doing the rest of the game after the 1 yard touchdown? Just asking for a friend. Thank you. All right, so that's all I got to say.
All right, let's roll into running back. Kev, who are you looking at running back this week? I think we skipped a bunch of major injuries, so thankfully, like you said, we have some guys coming back, which is obviously going to be super helpful for fantasy managers. But how are you feeling about running back this week?
Yeah, but I don't think there's any you just there's no slam ads, right? So I have Duke Johnson up top, mainly because of uh, David Johnson getting hurt today. He left the concussion earlier in the game. Duke Johnson, I mean, he didn't really play well, I wouldn't say. He rushed 16 times for 41 yards, but he did find the end zone. He had a fantastic 2.6 yards per carry, but he did find the goal line, and he also caught all 4 targets for 32 yards. So it was encouraging, but it's not something I feel the need that you have to run out and just, slam that add button for or spend some large amount of fab, because I mean, who knows? I mean, David Johnson could be back this week. So we'll have to see on that, because it is just a concussion. So, get some more news. But I do think Duke Johnson is intriguing, at least a short-term ad. Wayne Gallman, I was actually surprised he was so low owned, because listen, I get it. He plays for the Jets, and it's Wayne Gallman. But Wayne Gallman has 3 straight double-digit fantasy points performances. Today he rushed 14 times for 68 yards and a touchdown, and had 1 reception for 9 yards. There's a lot I mean, he doesn't have a high ceiling, but he does have have a pretty solid floor, and he's really soaked up all the pass catching work here too, at least for the most part. So I do like Wayne Gallman. I think he should be rostered in more leagues. I'm surprised he's that widely available. I thought he was a solid flex play today, even against the Washington front that is solid against the run. I actually played him a little bit in DFS. I felt dirty for doing it, but he came through at his price. So there's that. And then here we are. It is 2020, and here we are, Kalen Ballage. Let's talk about some Kalen Ballage. So Justin Jackson, I think there was a lot of people that are going to be tilting their face off because of what happened with Justin Jackson. It was finally looked like it was going to be the week that he was going to take off and really take over this entire backfield. And I had a massive amount of him in DFS. He was only 4,900 on DraftKings, but got the good old goose egg from him because he got hurt, I guess, with a knee injury. Was it the first play of the game or something like that? I mean, it had to be super early because the game's just kicked off, and all of a sudden Justin Jackson's out for the game. So super tilting. And once again, Joshua Kelly, you can just go ahead and drop because this dude, he had one really good run late in the game, Joshua Kelly did, but other than that, he didn't do a whole lot. But Kalen Ballage, I think he had 60 yards and a touchdown against the Raiders. So if you want to add Kalen Ballage, you can do so at your own peril. But we've seen this story before with him, last year with Miami and stuff like this, and he's just not that good. But I guess if he is going to be starting and he's also going to be soaking up pass catching work, I think you could go there. And then Cam Akers, I have him on here as well because, as we know, the Rams were on bye and he's still only rostered in 30% of leagues. He looked good the last time he was on the field and given opportunity. So we'll see where that goes with him. But I think that's more of a speculative ad for me. The other guys that I have on the list, the LaMichael P. Ryan, I'd like to see how he looks tomorrow night. I wish the Jets would just give him the full backfield, but we're also talking about Adam Gase. I do think LaMichael P. Ryan's the best running back they have on that roster. Latavius Murray, Gus Edwards, Naheem Hines and PPR, all those guys, Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison. But Alexander Madison did have 12 attempts today. These guys are all, more along the lines of handcuffs, guys you want to stash on your bench in case an injury happens. And we're getting to week 10. None of these guys should be available on anybody's waiver wire. If they are, add them because they shouldn't be available. And then in deeper leagues, Brian Hill, same situation, backing up Todd Gurley. Benny Snell, same thing for James Conner. Devonta Booker, same thing for Josh Jacobs. Anthony McFarland. And then I threw Rashad Penny on here. He should be back anytime. DJ Dallas hasn't really been lighting the world on fire, taking over for Chris Carson. But, Chris Carson could return as early as this next week. But Chris Carson has come through scoring a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. So those are kind of the running backs that I'm looking at. Like I said, there's no you have to run out and do whatever you can. If you've been holding on to that number one waiver ad all year, this isn't really probably the week you want to use it because there's just nobody out there that really stands out just an absolute must add. I do think Duke Johnson is super interesting if he is the starter next week for them because we know he has a pass catching upside and stuff like that. So I do think Duke Johnson would be interesting, but I just don't think he's worth a top waiver.
if you needed the points, you're clawing, scratching to get into like playoff seeding or get into the playoff picture. Is that an instance where you would go out and like let's say you have half of what your fab is from the beginning of the year? Would you throw, like 70% of what Firefox Kid making an appearance? That's awesome. This is a family show. I had my kid on my lap during the Sunday show. You had your daughter, 2-3 weeks ago, and now Firefox Kid is trying to come in here and pull some clout from the TFA.
I think he's sleepwalking.
That's incredible. Dude, at first I thought he was like coming in carrying your daughter. Like kind of looked like he was like coming in like carrying something. I thought like maybe he was helping out and like putting her down in her crib. Just caped up. But anyway, if you're clawing for like playoff position, would you be willing to throw, let's say, 70% of what you have left in your fab to get Duke Johnson just to try to get those points? Or is that a case where you'd rather hold on to that? Because like I said as well, like I don't see anyone this week as a must add in terms of waivers. So how would you do that for the people who are, kind of like at like say that 7th seed or kind of trying to get to that 500 spot and make a run?
It's a tricky situation because you can sit here and hold on to this stuff all year and nothing will really come to fruition. Because I think people have gotten smarter, in fantasy football. Like we're not seeing as many guys sit on the waivers. So it really depends on what your waiver situation looks like right now. Like if there's quite a few guys that are out there, no, I probably wouldn't do it. But if it's like slim pickings and he just happens to be sitting there, maybe you could, especially if you're a team that's like desperate for a win. You're kind of on that borderline of making the playoffs, but it would just be so tilting that if you did that and then next week, I don't know, somebody major goes down for the year.
Yeah, true. I got a question from I Teach Math 8. What about the David Montgomery injury? Obviously, he left with the concussion. How do you think that the backfield touches get split up? Now, obviously, they were trailing the I think the entire game, really. I would have thought that Ryan Nall would have gotten the carries, but because they were trailing, he actually got targets. He went like 4 for 35 and a touchdown. Cordell Patterson had a couple of carries, but he also had 4 targets. Are you doing anything with this Chicago backfield if David Montgomery were to be out? Or are you looking to add Ryan Nall?
Actually, I think it would be. I don't know. I think it would be Lamar Miller.
Okay.
They have Lamar Miller on the practice squad, and I think Matt Nagy said a couple of weeks ago that he's getting really close to being ready. So I actually think we'd be looking square down the barrel of Lamar Miller. So, and I know people are gonna ask, well, what about him? Why is he on the list? Well, I can't because I don't even know if they're gonna activate him. I know he's an option. I know he could be ready, and if he is, cool. But this offensive line that they have is so bad. You know what I mean? And so it's tough to trust any running back here. And I'm not trusting 29, soon to be 30-year-old Lamar Miller, who got cut by the Patriots. So if you were desperate, you needed somebody like in a PPR format, I don't know, maybe because he does have pass catching upside, and they don't have anybody else that can catch passes here. But yeah, I'm not super excited about it. We'll see. It's a concussion. He could be back this week, David Montgomery. So we'll see here with Lamar Miller. But Lamar Miller probably would be the guy that would get activated and be the guy. The other one is CMC. It looked like a shoulder injury. He got hurt right at the end of the game. It was whatever on the last drive of the game. And that the Panthers are trying to go down and get the lead. And Kansas City tackled him and landed right on top of him. And he was favoring his shoulder. Looked like they were trying to pop his shoulder back into place by the looks of it, what was going on the sideline. So we'll have to monitor that and see what's going on. But I didn't put Mike Davis on here because Mike Davis is still rostered by most everybody. So that just didn't really make a lot of sense.
Should I trade Jacobs for Gaskin and Fulgham?
No, because Miles Gaskin still has 2 more weeks left on IR. So at best, I mean, or at worst, or I guess at best, because it could be. I mean, he could be out even longer than that. So really, I was going to put Matt Breida on here because none of their running backs really did anything today that they utilized. So, but
Savon Ahmed, baby.
Yeah, he did nothing, and so we'll see. Hopefully,
38.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully, hopefully, I got thrown off there with that, but hopefully Matt Breida is able to actually return because people went out there and rushed out there to add Matt Breida this week, and all of a sudden popped up. Oh, he's got a hamstring, so we'll see on Matt Breida if he's able to return this week, because I think he's probably their best bet at running back while Myles Gaskin's out. But no, I would not make that trade.
Let's round things out with tight ends and the streamers. There is a theme that is developing here, and it is get all of the Philadelphia Eagles while you can. Dallas Goedert is still rostered in less than like half of leagues, so if he's still out there and he's available on your waiver wire, absolutely pick him up. We've been talking about how good the Eagles' schedule is looking for them over the next several weeks and continuing into the fantasy playoffs. So Goddard would be my first choice. Irv Smith would be my second choice here, and I think he's someone you could hold on to. Dalton Schultz is still being involved in this offense, whether it's been obviously with Dak and then Andy Dalton, and then today with Gilbert, who actually who had himself a really nice game against the Steelers in that defense, which, by the way, was just such a peak typical Steelers trap game. But I digress. Dalton Schultz, I think you can add. Jimmy Graham, especially if Cole Kmet is still out. Now, I think he was out this week with a concussion, so I'd expect him to be back for week 10. But if he's not, you can look there. And then Logan Thomas is going to round out my list. I think he saw 6 targets in today's game, especially with Alex Smith being the guy going forward. He has never been known to be one to take the deep shots unless Patrick Mahomes is drafted and coming for his job. So Logan Thomas is someone I think you can look at adding. And then depending on what happens with Jack Doyle, he also left with a concussion today. Obviously, I think he's had some neck issues in the past, so not entirely sure what's going to happen with him. But if he were to miss time, that would make me more interested in Mo Alley-Cox and Trey Burton. But Irv Smith is rostered in like less than 10% of leagues, so I don't think you have to reach all the way down there for them. That's why I didn't put those 2 Colts on this list, because of how widely available Irv Smith is. So if you're if you're digging down that far, I would much rather depend on Irv Smith and trying to figure out which one of the 3 Colts tight ends is going to be the one to go off. Like I said, unless we get news that Jack Doyle is going to be missing any sort of extended absence.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas Goedert is a tight end 1 in my opinion, and then I love Irv Smith. We've been talking about him in the last 3 or 4 weeks, or at least the last couple of weeks on this show. So I like Irv Smith a lot. The only concern with him is whenever the Vikings go full 1970s football and run the ball 67 times in a game and only throw the ball 10. So other than that, those are the only times that really concern me. Other than that, anytime they open I have to open it up. Irv Smith has really emerged as the top tight end target there
for sure. Daniel wants to know, is it worth stashing Madison? Absolutely. Obviously, with Dalvin Cook's injury history, he can't be trusted. And if he goes down, Madison has shown before that he's more than capable of carrying that load. And then Walito wants to know if the Bucs should trade for Jameis.
Well, I know he's enjoying it because he's a Saints fan, but I'm gonna be really, really mad if the Saints don't take opportunity here to put Jameis in the game against the Bucs, because I am all about that. Like, this is all I want to see left in this game, because this game is absolutely toast.
We appreciate you guys jumping in. like I said at the top at the beginning, if you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please be sure to do so. If you could leave a rate and review on whatever podcast platform you were listening on, we would appreciate that as well. We've been appreciating of all of the support and engagement we've been getting from you guys. This year has been a lot of fun for us, and we're looking to continue this as we go on. We will have the buy sell video coming for you guys. It'll be dropping Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then we will be going live again on Wednesday to take a look at waivers, help you out with that. We'll be going live talking start, sit, waivers, rankings, and all that. So until Wednesday, we'll talk to you guys. You can find me on Twitter at @CKutzerFF. You can find Kevin on Twitter at FantasyRat13, and you can find the TFA handle at FF_authority. And we'll talk to all you guys soon. See ya!